We're facing increased droughts, we're facing increased rain events, storm events, and now fire events.
But a lot of wine growers haven't picked any of the reds this year.
We won't be able to continue to grow the same varieties that we've grown.
More extreme heat, more chance of burning.
As the Victorian wine industry begins to re-emerge from the uncertainty of COVID-19, experts now ponder the fate of such an industry through the lens of climate change. Yet another issue, such as coronavirus, that will alter much of life as we know it.
I was absolutely amazed at the amount of homes that were burnt, the amount of farms that were burnt, the properties that were just inundated in that 12-hour period. As people I've known for 30 years, it just practically wiped them out. So much was lost. In just this few hours I was sleeping.
Australia has seen its fair share of extreme weather as recently as January 2020. With the personal loss of these devastating bushfires aside, winemakers are losing, in some extreme cases, whole vintages to the effects of bushfires. Whether it be the direct loss due to the fire itself, or the lesser direct impacts such as smoke taint.
Smoke taint is almost becoming a regular annual discussion, and that's very, very different to where we were at 10 years ago. So again, this year, profound impact in Victoria, where we've got producers in the northeast of the state, the Alpine Valleys, Beechworth in particular, who have lost 100% of their crop. Even places here in the King Valley where we're sitting here today, we've had significant impacts of crop losses from smoke taint. In East Gippsland, 100% losses. So there's a number of factors. It's the density of the smoke, it's the amount of time that it spends over the vineyard, or the status that the vineyard is at in its ripening period also has an impact on how profound that smoke taint is. It's not something that we've understood particularly well, and unfortunately, we're getting the opportunity to do more and more research about it so we can respond to it better. The best way to deal with smoke taint is to avoid bushfire. But you know, all of the evidence is telling us that in a changing climate, extreme bushfires are going to become a more pronounced problem in this country than less. So smoke taint is something that as an industry we're going to have to learn how to deal with, and that's going to be incredibly difficult.
Harvest times have become earlier and consistently earlier, not just your annual fluctuations of a few weeks. What was normally a regular start at the end of February is now a regular start at the start of February, and that's significant because, well, it's a full month. It has changed within 20 years, and we all have early seasons, but in this case, they're all early now, and now an early season is end of January, a late season's mid-February. So it's just the whole pattern has just shifted.
So this has got some significant adaptation issues for us in terms of winemaking equipment, scalability, being able to process all of the fruit. We don't have that nice time frame anymore. So it's definitely changing ripening periods and ripening patterns for varieties across the country. So this year we received a $990,000 bushfire support package from the state government, and that included being able to set up rapid testing facilities in each of the major affected regions. So we were able to help producers triage fruit samples in the vineyard, and then we provided support to get people out into the vineyard to get the samples. We provided shuttle services to amalgamate those samples in a region and then be able to shuttle them to the lab. Right now, where some of that money is being used to do sensory evaluation of wine, so now we're looking at, it's fine to do a chemical analysis, what's the sensory analysis? And can we teach people in the same way that once upon a time we had to learn how to identify other taints in wine, whether that be Brettanomyces or cork taint, etc. We now have to teach people how to identify smoke taint attributes in their wines. So we're doing a lot of that work. The timing and management of controlled burns. You know, that's a really big part of the conversations we're starting to have with the department, from now until vintage, because when do they control burn? After summer, in autumn, when the weather's more consistent and it's cooler. What are we doing in autumn? Harvesting.
With Wine Australia releasing a Winemaker's Climate Atlas to help better prepare winemakers for what's to come this year, uncertainty is still an issue that plagues the industry. With the heat around the corner and America already suffering the consequences, many winemakers are bracing for the unknown.